finally, after the tedium of the MetaHuman Crowd basic settings... Oh, boring, folks, really? We can start having some fun. Let's dress them all up, come on! For the clothes I thought of 3 different typologies: civilians, soldiers and king's guards. Here's an example. So let's start creating 3 different folders for each type of clothing. Everything in the R&D clothes folder, to be cleaned and sorted. Obviously, this is just a basic example, in my case medieval clothing. You can then adapt the type of clothing to the project you're working on. Go to the structure folders and create 3 different blueprint structures. Here I'll start from the civilian clothes. Open it up and create a skeletal mesh variable. An array, obviously. For the chest, another for the pants, another for the shoes, one for the gloves, and finally for the helmets or hats. It depends on whether it's a soldier or a civilian. Then we create the other 2 blueprint structures in the same way. Now let's see where to find all these clothes and accessories. I actually have a lot of medieval assets because I'm working on several projects about the Middle Ages. But as I said, you can use whatever assets you like for your projects. I have selected the ones that convince me the most from different assets. For example, take a look at medieval armor. They are perfect for MetaHuman skeleton. Here I can select the item I prefer for soldiers. In my case, I can find the MetaHuman items in the Unreal Engine 5 Meta folder. To zoom the assets, Ctrl and mouse wheel. Let's start from soldier chests. And bring into the level all the chests you need. Often the clothing assets are for Unreal Engine 4 mannequin skeleton. If you have this problem, you can watch a tutorial I made about this. I leave the link below in the description. Actually, you can have more items, just changing the material. Check the different material for the mesh you need. Select the material and open it up. Then browse to the skeletal mesh. Duplicate and open it too. Now just change the material. Bring the mesh into the level to see the difference. Now it's time to add subfolders for each item of clothing. Let's start with the chests. Browse to one of the skeletal meshes and open the content browser as a pop-up. Then create a folder for the chest within the soldier's clothing folder. And open that as well. Then select one of the skeletal meshes and drag it into the other content browser. You can also select all the meshes and drag them at once. Now that all your chests are in the right folder. Let's repeat exactly the same operation for all the other items of clothing. Create all the necessary folder in the R&D clothes folder and go on. Chests, pants, shoes, gloves, helmets and hats. And add all the items you have chosen. These folders are for soldiers. Now it's time for the civilians. For this, the main asset I use is modular, medieval and PC. There too I selected many parts of clothes. And here too create different folders to insert all the parts of the clothes we have selected. Here we are. And finally, for the nice guards, I go back to the medieval armor assets. I do like this. Here I've done the same once again. And now let's start populating the structures with the chosen assets. Open the structure blueprint in one window and the chests in another. As you can see, there are 17 chests. So let's add 17 rows to the civilians' chest array in the structure blueprint. Do the same for pants and for all the rest. And finally, let's create the code in the MH-based crowd blueprint. First, add a sequence node to run each block of code in order. Here I change the command color. I like to have the same color of the folders of the assets, pink for MetaHumans for example. Create another enumeration to select the 3 different types of clothing. I've created a new folder for the enumerations. Here just add the names of the clothing types: civilian, soldier and King's Guard. Then add the enumeration as a variable in the blueprint. To search for it, use the same name you gave it. Make it editable. Bring it in the event graph and connect it to a switch on int node. Then connect this node to the sequence 1. I add a comment and give it the same color of the clothing folder, just to be ordered. Compile and save. As you can see, it takes very long time to compile the blueprint. It happened because we have too many MetaHumans in the level. When you work on the blueprint, it's good to have just one MetaHuman in the level. This will speed up all processes. To keep things organized, I created a variable group called MHSetup. Well, look how fast it is to compile and save with just one MetaHuman. As you can see, with the enumeration we can easily select the clothing type. Now we can finally remove this ugly t-shirt and add all the different skeletal meshes we need to dress our crowd. Select the body and add the skeletal meshes. Chest, pants, shoes, and so on. Now we need to add a skeletal mesh for each skeletal mesh component we just created. Otherwise, the clothes won't fit the MetaHuman's body perfectly. Feel free to use the meshes you selected. Actually, we don't want this clothing, so we can set it invisible in the construction script. Set the visibility off for each item. But to see the right clothing when all will be ready, we need to reset the visibility on after the even begin play node. Let's do it. As you can see, the dresses are invisible until we play simulation. These allow us to not overload the GPU when working with hundreds of MetaHumans in the level. Now it's time to add the blueprint structures. Add 3 new variables and search for the name of each structure. Once done, bring the civilian clothes structure in the event graph and break it. In this way. Do the same for the 3 different clothing types. Then we need to create the int random variables for each item. Let's start from the chests. You can duplicate the variable and just change the name. Done. Bring the R&D civilian chest holding out to set it. We have to extract a random row as integer. So we need to calculate the length of the array. Add a random integer in range node. The random number has to be between the row 0 and the last row -1 of the array. So, in the max pin, connect a subtract node. Use always -1. And then assign the random integer to the variable. This way we can always add or delete items from the array. Well, in this case I'm wrong. I've added -1 to the subtract node. You write just 1. Then you will see what happens if the array has a bad length. Do the same for the remaining clothing items. Once done, let's extract the relative item in this way. Copy the structure node. Prepare the chest reference of the component for chest and add the node select skeletal mesh. Repeat the process for the other blocks of code. Go back to the blueprint structure node, and this time use get a copy in the chest array. Use the R&D civilian chest variable we just set randomly to get the row and connect it in the new mesh pin. It's time for a test. In the detail panel, choose the crowd type and hit play simulation. Everything seems to be okay. Obviously, the other clothing parts you see are the ones we add to the MetaHuman. When everything's done, we'll have all the random clothes we need. Now just look at the chest. Its randomization works well. I like to comment on everything to keep things organized, especially with such a large blueprint. Go ahead and do the same thing for pants. Duplicate the random variable and rename it. Set all the random variables and then use them to get the output from the different clothing arrays. Let's test also the pants. Yes, there's a problem with the chest, but not always. As I said before, I made a mistake by inserting -1 into this node, because it's already a subtraction. In this case, the program adds an extra row into the array that doesn't exist. Blank row, no dress. Now everything works. The chests and pants are randomized correctly. Here we are with all the random clothing system done. Have added all the necessary random integer variables. I've randomized the shoes, but for gloves and hats/helmets I made some changes. I don't want all the MetaHumans have gloves or hats/helmets. So I simply add a branch. If this integer is greater than 8, so 2 times on 10, the gloves are visible. I've done the same for the hats/helmets. And in this case I also have set invisible the hair. We don't need it. It will just be an unnecessary cost for the GPU. I did exactly the same thing for the soldiers. While I always let the King's Guards wear their helmets, and obviously not their hair. Time to test. Here I made 3 copies of the MH Crowd base BP and rename each one Guard, Soldier and Civilian, and give them the right variable from the enumeration list. Let's create 8 copies for each category. This way you can easily create different groups of MetaHumans. Play simulation and boom! Our crowd is finally dressed. And in a different way every time. There are still some problems with the skeletal meshing, like this, for example. We will see how to fix it later and how to add more dresses. Alright guys, that's all for now. In the next chapter we will see how to change the hair color, eyes color and other material parameters to get an incredible MetaHuman crowd. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the... Well, if you like, just follow me, it's easy. For the rest, enjoy life always and of course, ciao!